Who's that other young quarterback that's at the end of his you know? Oh, Tua, T Law, and the short dude that be still cookies at the cookie jar in Arizona. Those are three QBs where it's like I ain't gonna say it's make or break, but it's getting to a point where it's like, if you don't show yourself to be a top 10, whoa, Herbert is crazy, bro. Herbert can lead his team to the playoffs. Those other three, you can't say the same for them, bro. They're they're struggling, like they're struggling to raise the team, like I don't know, elevate the team. Like that's the elevate their offense, bro. No matter how good they've gotten it with fucking wide receivers, bro, they're still not able to make it happen. They should be those three quarterbacks should be projected to be in the top 10 at the very least. I understand that like fucking the QB competition in NFL is very tough. Like you're probably not gonna crack that top three. If you're one of those three, obviously top five is hard as well. But top 10 like isn't that crazy when T Law's the number one overall pick, Kyler's the number one overall pick, and Tua's looked to be the franchise quarterback of the future. His ass probably can't even spell his last name till he's fuck. Never mind, jokes said.
Trevor Lawrence.
I need a pistol, I need to lie.
Was an Elite 11 phenom and a number one overall recruit.
Trevor Lawrence is going to play football for
Good number one
lots of
overall
years.
pick,
He
right?
won a national title as a true freshman, was the most highly touted quarterback prospect since Peyton Manning, and went number one overall to Jacksonville.
Jacksonville Jaguars select Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor is obviously very talented. He's got a cannon for an arm, elite size, and great mobility. He's got many of the tools scouts drool over.
He's already becoming a leader. He's fantastic.
But many have started to question just how good he is as a pro. With coaching turnover in Jacksonville, there's hope, but still so many questions surround the once highly touted quarterback.
The team that was out there yesterday, it was not us.
And after 4 years in the league with middling success, it's time to be real about Trevor Lawrence. And in order to do so, we have to go back to where it all started. Trevor was born in Knoxville, Tennessee on October 6, 1999, to father Jeremy and mother Amanda Lawrence. For high school, Trevor moved to Cartersville, Georgia, where he attended Cartersville High. Trevor started for 3 years on varsity, bringing home 2 state titles, winning 41 straight games as a starter, and broke Deshaun Watson's Georgia State records for career passing yards and touchdown passes.
Not Diddy Watson.
In the 2017 Elite 11, Lawrence was named a top 11 high school quarterback in the country.
Damn. Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence. I'm trying to see if I can recognize anybody else. Is this fuck, Patriots backup. Damn, bro. I can't think of his name, bro. He was Tennessee's quarterback. It's gotta be him, bro. I still forget his name though.
But finished behind first place winner
Nah, it can't be Joe Milton. That ain't Joe Milton.
and fellow Georgia native, Justin Fields. At the conclusion of high school, Trevor was ranked the number one overall recruit and one of the greatest recruits of all time, ranked third best since
Milton's
2000,
on Dallas now? Damn,
according to
Dallas
247
Lakers?
Sports, behind only Jadeveon Clowney and
I knew he got traded. I just didn't know where.
Cyrus Kwanjo. After finishing high school, Trevor was headed to play for Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers as a 5-star recruit. He started second on the depth chart in the hotly contested QB battle with Kelly Bryant, splitting time equally with Bryant, but after the first 4 games, was named the sole starter. As a true freshman, Trevor threw for 3,280 yards and 30 touchdowns to just 4 interceptions, also adding 177 yards and a touchdown on the ground.
I looked at him as
Clemson
perfect,
finished
bro.
an undefeated
He was like the perfect quarterback, bro. Like perfect college quarterback, in my opinion, bro.
regular season, rolling through their ACC schedule and blowing out Pittsburgh in the ACC title game. In the game, Trevor didn't do anything spectacular, only completing 50% of his passes for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. but his effort was still enough for a resounding 42-10 victory over the Panthers. In the
Fucking
CFP
hit, bro.
semifinals against the Fighting Irish, it was more of the same, but this time, Trevor shined. He completed 27 of his 39 pass attempts for 327 yards and 3 touchdowns as the Tigers rolled over Notre Dame 30-3 and matched up with Alabama, the defending national champions, in the title game.
Wow.
Against a loaded Alabama roster, Trevor showed why he was so highly touted, as he and the Tigers exploded. Lawrence threw for 347 yards and 3 touchdowns, as Clemson dominated the defending national champs, 44-16, to complete a perfect 15-0 season in Trevor's first year on campus.
Man, I can't wait to celebrate.
Lawrence was named the MVP in the game and became the first true freshman quarterback to start and win a national title since Oklahoma Sooner Jamel Holloway did it in 1985. As a sophomore, it was more of the same for Trevor and the Tigers. Trevor entered the year as the Heisman favorite. But inconsistent play in the early going may have cost him his chances at college football's most prestigious trophy. Nevertheless, Clemson rolled through their schedule once again, except for a close one against North Carolina in Week 5, and won another ACC title game over Virginia, 6-17. In fact, Trevor and Clemson won every regular season game, outside of the close game against North Carolina, by an average of 42 points. That season, Trevor threw for 3,665 yards and 36 touchdowns to only 8 interceptions, but impressed on the ground in his second season, rushing for 563 yards and 9 touchdowns. Now, the Tigers were back in the semifinals, again 13-0, but this time, they got matched up with Ohio State and fellow Georgian Justin Fields, who, if you recall, got the better of Trevor in the Elite 11 and was the second-ranked overall recruit in the same class. But before we get to that, a quick word from our sponsor.
Really, Bob? I think we're good, Bob. Damn, long ass shit. That shit's almost 2 minutes, bro. A 2-minute ad is fucking wild.
Targeting penalty call. Back to the video. After falling behind early in the game, a targeting penalty called in Ohio State gave Clemson new life.
Like what, bro? Chase Young, bro?
And Trevor took advantage,
Not a fucking
this time with his legs.
bro.
Trevor threw for 259 yards and 2 scores, but added an incredible 107 yards and 1 touchdown on the ground as well, highlighted by a 67-yard touchdown just before halftime. The Clemson defense sealed the game with a pick, and the Tigers were headed back to the title game
Wait, I thought we won
for
that.
the second time in Lawrence's 2 seasons on campus, this time against the Tigers of LSU. Heading into the national championship, Clemson was on a 29-game win streak. In the title game, Clemson hung tough early, but simply didn't have what it takes to compete with Joe Burrow and the dominant 2019 LSU team, as Trevor and Clemson fell short of going back-to-back, losing the title game 42-25. Heading into his junior year, Lawrence was widely regarded by many scouts as NFL ready, and many felt as though he may not even have needed to play his junior season. Nevertheless, Lawrence was back for the Tigers, and although he missed 2 games in the COVID-shortened season with the illness, including a loss to Notre Dame, who played an ACC schedule during the COVID year, Trevor, aside from the 2 missed games, still had a nice year given the shortened schedule. He threw for 3,153 yards and 24 touchdowns to only 5 interceptions. He added another 203 yards and 8 touchdowns on the ground as well. Trevor was ACC Player of the Year and finished runner-up in the Heisman to, well, Devonta Smith, who had one of the greatest seasons for a receiver in college football history. In the ACC title game, this time with Lawrence healthy, the Tigers rolled over Notre Dame 34-10 in the grudge match and matched up with, again, Ohio State.
Here we go.
This time, Fields and the Bucs were too much for the Tigers, as Ohio State dominated Clemson 49-28, exacting their revenge for the loss last year.
We lost not championship.
Now, it's draft time, and don't worry, we're going to get real about Trevor Lawrence and where he stands in a bit. But first, let's take a look at how his NFL career has panned out. Following his awesome college career, Trevor was the unanimous top prospect in the draft, which, up until this point, had pretty much been par for the course for him. Trevor was one of the most highly regarded prospects in quite some time. He garnered comparisons to Hall of Famers like John Elway and Peyton Manning, and elite quarterbacks like Andrew Luck. Trevor was so highly thought of that over the course of the season, many NFL fans had begun using the slogan, "Tank for Trevor," in the hopes that their struggling team would land the highly touted, franchise-altering young quarterback. At the Combine, Trevor didn't do much other than interview. He came in at 6'6" and 213 pounds, elite size for a quarterback. Trevor's arms wowed scouts at his pro day, and his list of strengths were, well, seemingly endless. At the conclusion of the 2020 NFL season, the Jacksonville Jaguars had won the Tank for Trevor sweepstakes, and the Jags made Lawrence the number 1 overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft.
The Jacksonville Jaguars select Trevor Lawrence, quarterback, Clemson.
Paired with newly acquired and highly thought of college coach Urban Meyer, things were looking up for Jacksonville. Until they weren't. In week 1, Trevor threw for 332 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions in a 37-21 loss to division rival Houston. This game, wildly, was Trevor's first regular season loss as a starter in his career, including both high school and college. After all, the only regular season loss at Clemson was against Notre Dame when he was out with COVID. In just one game in the league, Trevor had already lost his incredible streak of regular season wins. The NFL never fails to humble. That season was, well, a tumultuous one for the Jaguars. Urban Meyer was fired.
Wait, what is that? Bro, I don't know why they
was, well,
hired former Iowa strength coach Chris Dow resigned the next day. Damn, I did not know that happened. What the fuck? Urban Meyer is Jaguars tenant. Video at Ohio Bar Services. October 2nd, December 11th. Report emerges outlining tensions between Meyer and players and coaches. Which I don't understand what happened with that. And Wednesday, former kicker Josh Lambo alleged Meyer kicked him in the leg in preseason. Like, what, bro? I don't know what happened with Urban Meyer in the NFL, bro, but he would... I don't want to say top 5 college coaches, because I've only watched like 2 decades of college football, but Urban Meyer is one of the best coaches I've seen. In the 2010s, well, shit, the past 2 decades, bro, he's top 3. Nick Saban is the only one I can think of that is in front of him. Dabo's up there, but you see Dabo right now, bro.
Tumultuous one for the Jaguars. Urban Meyer was fired mid-season after his debacle in Ohio, where he famously didn't ride back with the team on their jet, and elected to, well, we'll let you do some research on that one.
Yeah, it was like he was cheating on his wife with like a girl in a bar or some shit, bro. They took a video of the shit and I don't know.
The
That had nothing to do with anything.
Jaguars finished.
But it's when you're like, your coach is fucking making headlines for stupid shit like that outside of football. It's like, yeah, we're going to have to cut time.
3-14 in 2021. Again, getting the number 1 overall pick in the draft.
The one?
Urban Meyer was obviously out as head coach, and Doug Peterson would become Trevor's second head coach in just 2 years in the league. Trevor's numbers as a rookie were an enigma. He threw for 3,641 yards, but only 12 touchdowns and 17 interceptions. His weapons, however, left little to be desired, as his top targets going into the season were the aging Marvin Jones and Tavon Austin. There was still a lot of work to be done on the Jags roster to take a leap forward.
Jesus, Bob, give me my pads and helmet, bro. I'll catch for you at this point, bro. Shit! T-Law hasn't had a good coach in his career either in weapons. He's had weapons. Last year, like, come on, bro. He had them weapons last year, bro. Were they the best? Of course not. Not Jacksonville Jaguar QB. They already know what I'm looking for. Yeah, let me go to fucking NFL. What the fuck is that shit called? NFL Jaguars depth chart. No. I wanted the fucking Pro Football Focus. That's it. What am I looking at? Jesus, I don't know. Like, bro, like, I don't know what I'm looking at, bro. Lost a vision. Like Christian Kirk? Evan Ingram? Like, it's a good 3P, bro. Yeah, I know top part is offense, but I want to see all his receivers, bro. I'm trying to see the backups and shit. Calvin Ridley, Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk. Look, 1,000, 900, 700. And Zay Jones with 300. Now he got Brian Thompson. Or Thompson. Yeah, bad. You got Brian Thompson Jr. now. Parker Washington is fucking crazy. Who's this guy? Evan Ingram, Gabe Davis. Come on, Christian Kirk. Come on, bruh. He doesn't have the worst team.
2022, however, a leap forward came. Travis Etienne, Lawrence's college running back, who was drafted 25th overall in the same year as Trevor, returned from a season-ending injury that he suffered in the preseason in 2021. The Jags committed a lot of money to receiver Christian Kirk. They added Jamal Agnew and tight end Evan Ingram. They paired Josh Allen with top overall pick Trayvon Walker and looked poised to move forward in Trevor's second season.
Yeah, they drafted Trayvon Walker #1, bro. Is that a bust? Like, bro.
The Jags finished 9-8 in their first year under Peterson, winning 6 more games than they had the year prior, and took home their first AFC South Division title since 2017, and their second in franchise history.
Okay.
Trevor looked much better with the newly acquired and healthy weapons. He threw for 4,113 yards and 25 touchdowns, but more importantly, only threw 8 interceptions, that's less than half of what he had thrown as a rookie. The Jags made the playoffs and matched up with Justin Herbert and the Chargers. In a game where many fell asleep by halftime, the Jaguars were getting blown out. Lawrence struggled mightily, throwing 4 interceptions in the first half, with 3 coming in the first quarter. The score was 27-0, but Trevor found something at the tail end of the half, adding a touchdown pass to pull within 20 at the break. Then, Trevor and the Jags got rolling. In the second half, Lawrence bounced back in a big way and showed many.
They won this?
Well, by many, I mean those who were still watching, what he was made of. He completed 18 of 23 passes in the second half.
What the hell?
He threw for 211 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Hey, why is it coming back?
And the Jaguars, miraculously, completed a 27-point comeback over the Chargers with a 31-30 victory.
I was like, yeah, you can't say Justin Herbert not. Bro, they came back. They came back from the belt.
Third largest comeback in NFL postseason history.
Wow,
in the divisional round, riding their momentum, the Jaguars gave Kansas City a good fight, pulling within 3 in the fourth quarter at 20-17.
But you know how this story ends.
The seasoned and eventual Super Bowl champions, Kansas City Chiefs,
I don't see Love getting that win,
just too much for the Jags, as Kansas City went on to win 27-20. After a tremendous bounce-back year under Doug Peterson, many projected the Jags to make some noise in year 3 of Trevor. Well, things didn't necessarily go as planned. The arrival of a young C.J. Stroud in the division and some shaky play from Lawrence and the Jags down the stretch really derailed the season. Jacksonville started off well in 2023 with an
of course they beat us
8-3 record to begin the season, but shortly after faltered towards the end.
Damn.
The Jaguars lost 5 of the remaining 6 games, including all 5 games where Lawrence started, with the lone win coming in Week 17 against the Panthers, when Lawrence was out with a shoulder injury. Their final tally was 9-8, but it wasn't good enough to make the playoffs, as the Texans took home the playoff berth and the division crown. Trevor's stats were, well, mediocre. To start the year, things were looking up, as the Jags had acquired running back Tank Bigsby in the draft and Calvin Ridley via trade. But Lawrence's numbers dipped, throwing for fewer passing yards with 4,015, fewer touchdowns with 21, and more interceptions with 14.
That's a lot more.
Questions started to swirl about Peterson and Lawrence. Regardless, in year 4, it was go time. Trevor had his 5th-year option picked up and received a brand new $275 million 5-year contract with $142 million guaranteed, tying him with Burrow as the highest-paid player in NFL history up until that point.
Oh, shit.
It was time for the Jags to finally take their leap. Well, as I'm sure you know, they didn't. The Jaguars finished 4-13 this past season, with their only wins coming over the Colts, the Patriots, and the Titans twice. With a 3-10 record in 1-score games, the outcome simply wasn't good enough.
That's Travis Hunter now.
Doug Peterson was fired following the season, and rising star, the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Bucks, Liam Cohen, was hired. Cohen's hiring was, well, noteworthy for many reasons. For one, the love triangle and indecisiveness between him, the Bucks, and the Jags made headlines, as well as this moment in his opening press conference.
Duval.
But regardless of the media-worthy moments, Cohen is a bright, young offensive mind, and after his work with Baker Mayfield, should most likely get the best Lawrence has to offer.
He should.
As for Trevor, well, his 2024 was one to forget. Only playing in 10 games due to injury, throwing for 2,045 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. Now, with all that we've covered in Trevor's career, it's time to be real about Trevor Lawrence. Let's be real about where he stacks up amongst the other signal callers of his pedigree, amongst the league's elite, and what the future may hold. For starters, we'll compare Trevor's first 4 seasons to other top overall quarterback selections that came before him using StatHead to see how he's doing.
Bro, that's so crazy to see Baker here. Wait.
So far. Since Lawrence
Jared Goff and Baker were in the same draft class?
only has 4 seasons under his belt, we'll use the first 4 for those quarterbacks as well. At the plate is the man who came in the draft before him, Joe Burrow. In 8 fewer games, Burrow has performed, well, significantly better than Lawrence. He's got better passing numbers in nearly every category.
Damn.
A significantly higher approximate value, which is the single number metric StatHead uses to compare players across positions and generations. Burrow, of course, has a Super Bowl appearance as well. And although Lawrence does have the better rushing numbers, again, Burrow has fewer games. They do have the same number of Pro Bowls, something to keep in mind, but with a much higher passer rating.
How has Joe Burrow only been in a Pro Bowl one time? What the hell?
A way better touchdown to interception ratio.
Wait, how the fuck does Trevor Lawrence have a fucking Pro Bowl? Is a better question.
It's fair to say that at this point, Burrow has performed better than Lawrence. Now, what about Kyler Murray? Uh-oh.
Wait, okay, this is in the same draft class. Oh, I was like, bro.
Kyler is, well, better. He's just better. By every single metric. He's a better passer. He's a
Has he not been in the league longer? No?
better rusher. Has 2 Pro Bowl selections to Trevor's 1. And a significantly higher AV. Next at the dish, Baker Mayfield. All right, this one is better, Jags fans. Let's take a deep breath. Same number of games. Bro. Baker has the better passing numbers. Lawrence has the better rushing numbers. Baker has...
Oh. Damn, Trevor had more games played than... Oh, first 4 years. Oh.
There's the higher AV. Lawrence is the Pro Bowl. Now, let's remember that Baker really took his leap forward with, well,
Tampa.
Liam Cohen in Tampa, who is now Trevor's head coach. So, there is something to look forward to. Banning cleanup for the number 1 overall pick comparisons, we have Jared Goff. This one is, well, somewhat tough to decipher. Goff is better in all the passing categories, AV, and Pro Bowls in fewer games. Lawrence does have the better rushing numbers. And although Jared may try to tell you otherwise, there's no surprise there. Jared also had Sean McVay in LA, so that's something to consider. But overall, he just was, well, better than Lawrence. Now, what about the elites? Mahomes, Burrow, Jackson, Hurts, and Allen.
Why are we doing this?
Mahomes is, well, Mahomes. So there's that. No harm, no foul. Burrow, we already did the comparison for. Lamar Jackson is clearly better, although Lawrence has had way more passing yards in the time
more passing yards
frame, but no real surprise there. Same thing goes for Hurts. He's a lot better than Lawrence in his first 4 seasons as well. And Josh Allen, same story. Needless to say, Lawrence has a lot of work to do to be considered among the league's elite. But, alright.
All it take is 1 season, bro. You seen CJ, you seen Jaden, bro.
After reviewing the data, let's be real. Lawrence is, well, toward the bottom of these comparisons. But there is hope. The major thing holding him back from what I've seen is really the touchdown to interception ratio.
Yep.
If he cleans that up, things should improve. I don't want to make the coaching turnover excuse for Trevor, even if it is significant, because Baker dealt with something similar in Cleveland, and
the best can get it
things
done.
weren't always sunshines and rainbows for Kyler and Cliff in Arizona. And I'm not talking about the weather. Lawrence is obviously incredibly talented. He's got Brian Thomas Jr. in the fold now, who looks to be a rising star. Liam Cohen, irrespective of the oddities at his opening presser, is a brilliant offensive mind who is poised to take Lawrence to the next level. Trevor has, well, up until this point, left some to be desired with his play, but he has the ability, and now it's time. He needs to step up, and he needs to be the quarterback everyone thought he would be and should be. Can he do it? Absolutely. Will he do it? Only time will tell. But for now, if we're being real about Trevor Lawrence, it feels as though he's got a lot more to give to live up to the hype. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't.
Bro keeps saying Bobo. I didn't even notice. I mean, notice that shit with my soul though. Yo.